Welcome back, everyone, to Goody and Johnny Mo at the Movies. We are here with episode number 12. We're doing something special. This is Star Wars Celebration Weekend. And yesterday there was a huge release of the teaser trailer, as well as the title to episode 9 that's coming out in December. I have watched it plenty of times since the release because I'm just crazy that way.
I have not seen it at all, and I'm not even 100% sure I even know what the name of the movie is. I don't think I've heard that either.
So it's been a day and some hours since this was all released, and I told John that we were going to try and get this done last night. Couldn't get it done, so we are here tonight. We are going to do a live stream of this, a live watch,
And it'll be a live first time watch.
And it's a live first time for John. All right, so before we do that, we're going to just do our little beer intro.
Okay, so I am drinking a Omegang Brewery's Three Philosophers. This is their standard Three Philosophers. They have three different kinds. They have like a special one. They have a barrel aged, and this is just a standard Three Philosophers, which is the one you'll see with the green and gray label. From Omegang Brewery, upstate New York in Cooperstown. Really good stuff. Drinking out of this cool Batman glass to match my Batman shirt, and I'm very happy with that.
I'm just doing my last winter ale from Blue Point, last one in the fridge, getting that out of the way, making room for the new seasonal stuff. So cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Quick shout out to family and friends of Goody and Johnny Mo at the Movies. Just want to give a quick shout out to my grandchildren, Luke, Nicholas, and Maya, who are home right now, actively and currently watching Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I have not seen yet, which is supposed to be pretty good.
So I think with that, we are going to get this trailer going, okay, guys? So here we go.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
That's such a great shot.
Billy D, still going at 82 years old.
We'll always be with you.
That's a great
No
shot.
one's ever really gone.
Okay, I mean that's a quick tease. It was
Yeah, that's a true teaser.
well, some teasers are really small. That was a good solid 2 minutes.
That was a nice 2-minute trailer.
They gave some good footage.
Yeah, no dialogue, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
All Luke just doing that, doing
voiceover.
Yep.
Well, you start. You've
Okay.
seen it. You've seen it quite a few times. I'm still absorbing it in.
I thought this was a great teaser trailer. Say what you will about The Last Jedi, but this is the first episode afterwards. So I think this trailer had to land big with the fans to try to kind of go middle ground, maybe please some of the fans that really enjoy The Last Jedi, and also maybe try to bring some nostalgia again and bring some people back into the fold that kind of did not like The Last Jedi. I thought this trailer did a really nice job of trying to get that balancing act going. This definitely has the feelings of J.J. Abrams, that first trailer for The Force Awakens. All the text that's going through it, the every story has a legend and all that. That actually goes all the way back to the Phantom Menace trailer. So one of the original Phantom Menace trailer has a lot of that. Every story has a beginning, every journey has its first steps. So very similar to what they did in this trailer here. So I think that was a nice fitting way to kind of to end this whole saga. The first shot of Rey using the Force to jump over the TIE Interceptor, that might be my favorite shot in the whole thing. Seeing Billy D. Williams, I'm really glad that they put him in the trailer, because we've only known that he was going to be in this film, but we haven't really seen or heard anything else about that. So the fact that he's in this trailer, I really enjoyed that.
I didn't even know he was supposed to be in the film. I mean, I usually try and keep away from a lot of the industry buzz. Yeah. I'm not gonna research stuff online and what are the rumors and what are people saying. The most I'll usually do before a film is I might take a peek at one or two reviews, but other than usually I have no problem with trailers. I always see trailers because they can become available. But for the most part, I'm like, I'll be honest with you. I've been on a number of lines, going into Star Wars movies that are opening, where all these nerd bombs are in front of me, and it's like, they know so much about the film, and they're so proud of it, and they're so happy to tell everybody what they're in for. And I'm like, dude, you're ruining it.
Yeah, don't do that.
It's not a badge of honor. Just go in and enjoy the film.
Right. It's okay that you know that stuff. And you look it up,
well, keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
They get so involved in the details, and it's like, enjoy the film. And you can enjoy these films as a super Star Wars fanatic. Yeah. But go in blind. Not completely blind, but go in like everybody else and just enjoy the film and be surprised.
Yep.
And have everything hit you for the first time and not knowing it. I think that's the best way to do it.
I think there's a bunch of characters that we don't see in this film. We don't get to see R2-D2. There's a bunch of I think Carrie Russell plays a role in this film. We don't get to see her.
We saw C-3PO.
We saw 3PO, and it looks like. And I'm actually really happy that they're doing this. It looks like they're putting Finn and Poe together on some journey. I'm really liking that, because I want these guys to go and do something together. The fact that with The Last Jedi, everybody was broken up, and you don't get to see them. They're all on their own little thing that they have going on.
Well, I even saw Carrie Fisher in there.
Carrie Fisher's in there. Now, again, this is unused footage because, of course, she passed away, unfortunately, before they could make this film.
Right.
So they are using unused footage from The Force Awakens and possibly The Last Jedi,
and
trying to tie whatever those shots were somehow into.
So she actually is a living character in this film that they were able to splice in there somehow.
Well, the scene where Rey is hugging her, and you see Rey tearing, but you don't see Leia. I'm guessing that's a double.
Yeah.
To get that shot of Rey with tear.
Yeah, and that would make sense, and that should be easy enough for them to do.
Yes, but the shot obviously of Leia approaching her and everything like that. That's all. That was all unused footage. So we get to see Kylo using his lightsaber, killing off looks to be some type of soldier, or I don't know really what that was.
Yeah, still not a big fan of Kylo Ren, but I think his relationship with who's the main character?
Rey?
Rey. When you said Poe, you threw me off. Yeah, Rey. I think Rey really is the strongest person in this whole trilogy. Like, if she wasn't as good as she is, I really think it would the rest of everything that they did would just bring it down. Whereas I think she manages to elevate
She has a very strong presence.
Yeah, she
on
manages.
screen.
I think she manages to elevate the quality of these movies all on her own.
Yeah.
You know,
I am looking forward to seeing the interactions with her, not only just with the other characters and kind of being back with them again, because they were all separated for the Last Jedi, and time has advanced since the Last Jedi.
how many years are supposed to be in between?
They're saying it's a few, but they're not saying how many.
Okay.
So they're not giving that away just yet. But I mean, my guess is it's going to be at least a couple. I mean, typically, between episodes, I think 3 and between 4 and 5 were, I think, 3 years, and then I think it was only a year between episodes 5 and 6. And episodes 1, 2, and 3 had some time jumps in there as well. Only episodes 7 and 8 had that direct lead in from one into the next.
Right.
But this is definitely going to be a couple of years later.
Now, I'm sure Billy D. Williams was already slated to be in this film, but if you really think about it, like, he is like got to be the big nostalgic
Character.
for this
Yeah.
movie.
Well, especially because Carrie's gone.
Right. Carrie's gone.
Yeah.
You know,
Luke is he's going to be a Force Ghost.
He's going to be a Force Ghost, but as
not
a
physically in.
his character as a living human being is gone, and Han Solo is gone.
Right.
You still have
You still have 3PO.
you still have you still have Chewbacca,
He's on Chewbacca.
who's running around doing his thing.
But it's a different actor. It's not Peter
okay.
Mayhew. So it's another character that's in there. This guy Jonas. I don't know this guy's. I think his name's Jonas. He was at Star Wars Celebration for the Star Wars panel. And actually, he was really funny, but and he's extremely tall.
You're probably still going to have Yoda as a Force Ghost in there somewhere.
Well, the fact that they keep talking about if you notice when Luke's speaking, he's talking in plural. He's talking about "we will always be with you."
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's they always say they don't die.
Right.
Even going back to the first Star Wars movie, when Obi-Wan Kenobi says to Darth Vader,
If you strike me
you
down,
can strike me down,
yeah.
I'll
become more powerful than you could possibly
yeah,
imagine.
he has come back, as a Force Ghost.
I would really love to see. So at the end of Return of the Jedi, you see Anakin, you see Obi-Wan, and you see Yoda as Force Ghosts looking over Luke.
Yeah.
I would love at the end of this film, and because J.J. Abrams is such a, I think he's very good at nostalgia and paying respects to the past with Star Wars. I got a feeling we're going to see a nice Force Ghost group at the very end of probably like Luke and Yoda, and maybe even Anakin and Obi-Wan looking over Rey. So I would be really nice to see Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, and even Hayden Christensen, Anakin. That would be really something to bring those characters back in.
I think what we're not going to see is anything pivotal or earth-shattering with the story of C-3PO and R2-D2, because I don't think they're a focus anymore.
Which is a shame. But C-3PO is with Poe and Finn.
Well, I mean I know they're gonna be in the film, but I think they're just gonna be on the sidelines and observing and not being real integral parts of anything, and no kind of fruition of their story of where it winds up. I think they're going to be very sidelined.
I really hope that's not the case. You may be right on that, but because of the fact that that's if episodes 7 and 8 has told us anything, it's kind of showed us that these guys have been put on the sidelines.
Right. They don't really. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they really know what to do with them, but they're not about to get rid of them either because
they're staples.
They're staples.
Yeah.
So I really think in this movie, I think the character on screen that people are going to be most cheering, I really think are going to be Lando Calrissian.
Oh, when you see him, I think he's going to get a big.
And not for nothing, he looks pretty. The guy's
right.
82. He's 82 years old. I almost found that hard to believe. I didn't think he was that old.
Oh, he looks really. He looks good.
But he looks really good, and I can tell right now, someone like him, who had no part in episode 7 or 8.
No.
And his character was a part of Han Solo, but it was played by somebody else because it was filmed.
Because it was years before.
So he's got he's finally getting off the couch and putting his foot forward, And if the character of Lando is a kind of very kind of bold, flamboyant in your face. So and I think Billy D. Williams can can pull that character pull
Oh,
can pull that
absolutely. I
character
think he
very
can
well.
still do it.
You know, even though he did it great back in the '80s, you know, 40 years later, I think he can still pull it off. So I think he's going to actually bring a lot of weight and clout to this film, and I just hope he's not just there as a minor.
I hope he's used correctly.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he's just not there as a cameo.
Right.
Just
Just
then
to
that's
shoehorn
to
it
me
in.
that's a cheap nostalgic trick. You know,
Yeah.
give him some due.
Because Lando had a very a pivotal role in Return of the Jedi, piloting the Millennium Falcon and helped taking down the second Death Star. So
Yeah.
I really want to see him in this. What are your thoughts on seeing the remains of the second Death Star? Now, my guess is that's the second Death Star.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. That didn't click with me. I didn't know that. I didn't know that's what that was.
Okay, but can you see, like, now that I told you what it was, you can see that?
I would have to watch it again and
Okay.
look at it and really kind of focus.
Yeah. So when they're up on that hill, they're looking out into what looks to be an ocean, and you see, you know, a large portion of Death Star in the water, and you can almost see the dimple of the super laser in the background there,
Okay.
or in the distance of the shot. My guess is that's the second Death Star, and I'm guessing that's got to be Endor, not the moon of Endor. I don't think that was the moon, or maybe it was one of the other moons, or maybe the actual planet of Endor. Because where the Imperial base was, that shield generator, that was the forest moon of Endor, and I don't think this is it. So my guess is it's going to be the second one.
Okay.
Because in the first Death Star wasn't close to Yavin; it was near the sun, the Yavin sun. So I don't think that we're talking about the first Death Star. I think we're talking about the second.
Oh, you know the spatial layout of the planets and stars of the Star Wars universe much better than me.
So, and then what did you think about the surprise laugh at the end?
And I'll be honest with you, if you know, it's a little subtle, it's a little low, and if you didn't know who it was, I don't know if it was obvious you'd figure it out, but when you watch it with the subtitles, it basically says, you know, it's the Emperor laughing. So I think that will be kind of interesting, because the last time we really see the Emperor is in the end of Return of the Jedi, where they throw him off, you know.
Yeah, Vader throws him over.
You know, and you assume that he's dead, but then there is a huge rush of Force energy that comes up from that. You know, when he hits the bottom.
Well, I don't know if it was Force energy or just a reaction from
Maybe just a real final release from him.
Right.
You know, hard to tell. But, you know, I mean, again, I would imagine that the dark side Force people, they do also exist as evil Force ghosts.
That is one of my thoughts. The fact that what if this entire time it was really a Force ghost of Palpatine pulling the strings.
You know,
I don't know if he will physically be back as a physical person.
But the character is there
Yes.
as a concept in some way, and this is the type of thing where, again, like, you know, like, I sit back and say, okay, I can't wait to see what that's going to be.
Right, because if it's done right, it can be amazing.
Yeah.
Because
how are they going to do that?
How are they going to explain him coming?
And I don't want to be the guy who intercepts the memo going through the studios, explaining exactly how it's going to be, and then I bring that, you know, have that knowledge going into the theater, and, like, you know, oh, I know. Like, no, I don't want to know.
No.
I want to see it on the screen for the first time, because that really is how these movies, I think, really should be enjoyed. I think, you know, first and foremost, they're movies.
Yep.
You know.
Interesting to see some different planets that they had going on in there. BB-8's got a new droid friend that they've introduced.
Oh yeah, that I saw. And I like BB-8.
No, me too. I like him a lot. I think it was really hard to make a new droid for this era, this franchise, but I thought they did a really good job.
I'm sure they will introduce some new characters as well. Maybe not, you know, new center stage characters. But again, you know, in a teaser trailer, you're not going to put everything in there.
No.
You know, this is going to be.
We're probably not going to get it. We're not going to get another one, I don't think, till August.
So when does it open? In December.
December
of 2019.
Mm-hmm. And so the opening shot of the trailer with Rey on that desert planet. Now, are we thinking, are we back at Jakku? Or are we going back to Tatooine?
It could be,
So now,
could be anybody's guess.
I'll give you a hot
And
tip.
who's piloting that ship?
I'm thinking it's Kylo Ren, because there's a shot when when you see the gloves.
Yeah.
If you look you can see his shirt a little bit, and it's the similar shirt to
Yeah,
what
I
Kylo
mean, the
is.
stance that those hands were gripping the controls, to me, that seemed like Kylo Ren.
It seems like it's him. I'm going to give you a hot take on this and think it might be the planet Jeddah.
Okay.
Do you remember what Jeddah was?
Nope.
Jeddah was the planet in Rogue One where where the Empire was harvesting the kyber crystals from.
Okay.
All right, so that's where they first tested the Death Star weapon, and it just devastated a whole area of the planet. But I wouldn't be surprised, because that was like such a holy land for the Jedi. I would wonder if they would actually go back to that place and we could actually see it again. I actually wouldn't mind that at all. I would actually enjoy that. But I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new creatures. I heard there's a whole big creature crew that like put new things together. So when we did our review, one of your points of discussion was that you didn't feel they had a lot of imaginative creatures.
Yeah, no, I
in
did.
the
I
films.
think like almost everything they did was really either like fake looking props,
Yeah.
like actual like almost felt like plastic almost, or they were computer generated and they looked computer generated.
Right.
You know, like with very expressionless and bland features, nothing that really stood out. So I hope that they up their game a little bit in this one.
I'm hoping for that too. Now, the one nice thing that I don't know, you probably don't know about this, but we found out also yesterday was that JJ spoke with George Lucas about this film.
Oh, really?
So when JJ went to go and write this movie, he actually consulted with George about how to kind of like wrap this whole thing up. So I'm
Interesting.
very interested in that aspect.
Well, yeah, I
They're
mean,
finally
I
including George.
always feel that one of a great question walking out of any one of these new Star Wars movies would be the question, what would George Lucas think about this movie? What would
What would he have done?
What was his take? How did
Yeah.
he feel about it?
And the repair of Kylo Ren's helmet, so obviously he's going to have that back. Rey puts the lightsaber back together, so we see that. It's a little different, constructed a little differently around the midsection there of the Graflex, but I don't know if... I was kind of hoping Rey was going to make a new lightsaber very similarly to the way that Luke did in Return of the Jedi, so I was hoping for that. But if we kind of get just a reforged Graflex, I guess I'll be okay with that.
So I guess my question is what happens after Episode 9? What are the current plans that you're aware of?
Right now, I believe...
Another Star Wars story or a new trilogy?
I think Bob Iger is I believe he's the president of Disney. I think.
That I don't know.
He said that Star Wars is going to go on hiatus for a few years after this film, which I think is okay. I think that's a good thing. Let the people
Hiatus
kind of-
meaning they're not going to do anything.
They're not going to do anything. No new saga story. No Star Wars stories. Nothing like that for a couple of years. I think they're going to rely on the Disney streaming service because they're going to be providing a lot of content on there. I think that's going to satisfy Star Wars fans for a couple of years with The Mandalorian.
There's going to be new content
Yes.
on the Disney streaming service related to Star Wars?
Yep.
Oh, so it's not really it's on movie hiatus.
The movie hiatus.
Movie hiatus.
Movie
Okay,
hiatus.
because I'm sitting there going, there's no way
Yeah, no.
they're
movie
not
hiatus.
doing something somewhere at some point.
The two things that they have going on right now is the Benioff and Weiss, the guys doing Game of Thrones, they have a trilogy in the works.
Okay.
I don't know how far along they are. I haven't really paid attention to the Star Wars Celebration the second half of this afternoon. I don't know if any news of that's really going to be coming out for the rest of this weekend or not. Maybe we'll get a little tidbit. Who knows? Those guys are focusing on the final season of Game of Thrones, so I don't know what their schedule is.
That's this Sunday.
Yeah, I got a feeling they're going to probably let this finish up first before they really start focusing on the Star Wars franchise. But that's my next guess, is that that's the next project.
Mm-hmm.
We're in 2019 now. I don't think we see another Star Wars film until 2022 or 3 at the earliest.
Yeah, no, that's actually a little bit of a long wait.
I think we're going to have at least we'll have at least a 3-year wait. before the next Star Wars film. And now who knows what they're going to do? Obviously,
Again, like I said, to me, it comes down to, are they going to do more Star Wars stories, or are they going to start a new trilogy?
well, they're going to have a trilogy. As of right now, they have a trilogy, and also Rian Johnson has a trilogy. They are not going to be tied into the saga. I don't think we're going to get a 10, 11, and 12.
Oh, okay.
At least not in the way that we're probably thinking. I think 1 through 9 is pretty much going to sum up the whole Skywalker saga. I mean, obviously, the Rise of Skywalker as the title. I think that's pretty much going to sum up this whole 1 through 9 franchise. And then anything that happens after this, to me, is almost going to be like a Star Wars story, kind of like your Rogue Ones and your Solos.
I mean, and again, being that the history of the Star Wars universe, they could do a trilogy, from way back when,
well, that's the theory of Benioff and Weiss.
the beginning of the Jedi.
I mean, can you imagine Benioff and Weiss, these guys that did such a great job with Game of Thrones, obviously set back in past times. Can you imagine them doing the start of the Jedi Order?
Yeah,
Maybe
I think that would be a smart move.
And maybe they introduced the first Sith. The conflict and the characters that these guys create has been amazing in Game of Thrones. To see them translate that into Star Wars, I'm actually very excited to see what those guys come up with.
Yeah, it could have a completely different texture.
It could.
And that's fun.
With Rian Johnson, again, when it comes to The Last Jedi, I think The Last Jedi I think it's a good film. I think it's, I'm not a fan of it as an episode in the saga of Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
I've said this to John before, and I think I said this in our review of the video. I think if you take out the main character names of The Last Jedi and you just put in random character names, it's not a bad film. But because it involves our beloved heroes from episodes 4, 5, and 6 from the original trilogy, right, to me it goes away from what those other films have done in the past. The one thing we know Rian Johnson's going to do is he's going to take risks. Okay. I think that's first and foremost.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that as long as it works, as long as it makes sense. Don't just take risks to take risks.
Yeah.
Like, take the risk, but knowing that it's going to go somewhere.
I'll be honest with you. I would be happier with someone who took a risk and maybe made a couple of missteps than someone who took, the completely safe and boring way and, did it right, so to speak. But it was just completely boring.
It was nothing new.
Basically I've already seen that with, I think, in my opinion, in the last 2 films of the new trilogy.
Yeah.
So I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, I've kind of seen what Disney's can do. Let's see if they can do it a little different or better than what they've done already.
Yeah, I'm okay. I agree with that. But to me, as of right now,
maybe it comes down to just having a little bit more of that. I don't know. I felt like they did more with the Star Wars story films, because that there was less of an expectation of greatness. When you're doing episode 7 and 8 and 9, it's almost like the stakes are really high here.
Yes.
We can't afford to screw up, so we're not going to take any chances because these are our breadwinners. Whereas with the Star Wars stories, I feel like they kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Well, for the most part, with those stories, the slate was clear. They pretty much could do whatever they want as long as the story landed where, obviously with Rogue One, the story lands with it right before episode 4. That, to me, brilliantly done. Mm-hmm. But to me, that was done so well, and I think so unexpected. I don't know if anybody really expected to go into that film being like, oh my god, this is such a great Star Wars film.
Which one?
Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people consider that to be the best film that Disney has done.
I still think it. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think I definitely think it's the best one they've done so far.
But I think you're absolutely right. Because the stakes, I don't think the stakes were as high, so the pressure was off.
It was like to me, it was like filler material.
Yeah,
they were just like, okay, let's
put this
do something because we can, and let somebody have fun with it.
And they tried that, and again they tried that with Solo, and
Solo worked just not as well as Rogue One.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people crapped on Solo, but I still think because people were really upset about The Last Jedi, and this was only 5 months, or maybe 5 months or 6 months after The Last Jedi came out. So I think had that movie waited a little bit longer to come out, I think it would have been received a little bit better than what it was. I don't think it was a bad film at all. I don't think it was as good as Rogue One or some of the other Star Wars films.
I think it was at least on par with The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens in terms of, I don't know, I thought it was.
I know.
It might even be
I know
my
what you're
second.
saying.
It might even be my second favorite film of
Yep.
of the last four movies.
And and I can't disagree with you. There were parts of Solo that I really, really enjoy, and I think as we get closer to Episode 9, now that we can actually say The Rise of Skywalker, we'll probably actually do reviews of those films, like we've done with the recent Disney releases as well, just to kind of like catch up a little bit and refresh ourselves before we go in there.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like Solo wasn't a great film. It was.
No,
it
I'm
was
not saying
okay.
it was okay.
It was okay. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, Episode 7 and 8 were just okay.
Yeah.
They were not great.
I did say I walked out of
They
Solo.
weren't completely horrible.
I walked out of Solo
they were just
enjoying that
okay.
movie.
Well,
Again,
again,
I can say that I walked
yeah.
out of Solo and I enjoyed the film.
Again, it always comes down to what I said about Episode 7 and 8 is that they were good movies, or they were okay movies, but in my opinion they were horrible Episode 7s and 8s. And they're those
That's stuff. Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm wondering is the way that Luke is talking and how he's bringing up we. So it seems like there's going to be multiple people involved, or at least maybe even in that scene.
Well, keep in mind now. I forgot. Yeah, I was going to say Carrie Fisher, but
no,
Princess Leia should be a Force ghost, but if she's not really dead
unless
in the movie.
unless she dies in the film.
Unless she dies in the film, which not for nothing. How much footage could they possibly have of her to interweave her throughout the entire film? Because even if you make her a Force ghost, like
That's not going to be.
I think they're going to have a hard time, putting pre-existing footage of her, because I don't think that was their intention to kill her in this trilogy.
No, it seemed like she was going to be the one to survive.
But it might be easier for them to kind of fake her as a Force ghost.
It's possible.
You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Well, they talk about how when he's over talking to Rey and saying about how you have 1,000 generations with you. So now. I'm really interested in that. What are those Jedi texts that she read? The knowledge that she has. Are we going to see some new Force powers in this? Like, are we going to see something new?
Now, I'll be honest, this is something that I think you would know far more than me. Is that a legitimate number? Has the Jedi been around for 1,000 generations?
Well, that's what Obi-Wan says to Luke in A New Hope. For 1,000 generations, the Jedi were the guardians of peace.
I thought they said for 1,000 years.
No, over 1,000 generations.
Because 1,000 generations is a long time,
Yeah.
I think. That's like 30,000, 40,000 years.
Well, timeline wise, that part I don't know as far as
I'm just curious, like with the existing Star Wars canon, from everything that's been done in the past, has the Jedi been around for that long?
Well, a lot of the Old Republic stuff got wiped out when Disney took over, because when they did the Old Republic, that was like 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and now it's a little different. So I guess we really don't know how far back we're talking, other than what Obi-Wan said in A New Hope. But it will be interesting. I thought the one nice piece is when Luke says that nobody ever dies, and everyone immediately is thinking about him.
Yeah.
The next thing we hear is Palpatine's laughter.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's right.
It's not just the good Force. It's not just the Jedi. It's also the Sith too.
Yeah,
and
right, exactly. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
Now, I would not expect Han Solo to be a Force ghost at all, because he had
he didn't have a Force
connection to the Force.
I don't think so.
He just knew a lot of people.
The only way that Harrison Ford is in this film is if they did some type of flashback before he dies.
I wouldn't think that they would.
And I don't think they're doing that.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I wouldn't mind it, because if Mark Hamill had been talking over and over again about he wanted to do a last scene with Harrison Ford and especially Carrie Fisher, the three of them together. And he was upset that he wasn't going to share any
They
of that.
never met in this trilogy.
Nope. They each had a scene with Carrie Fisher.
Right.
Mark Hamill had his scene, and then of course Harrison had it with Force Awakens. But the three of them were not together, and Mark was upset with that. And I think he was hoping that they could find a way to fix all that. But of course, once they killed off Harrison, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So that is a shame, I think, for some of the original trilogy fans to not have them in this, to not have all three of them together. But if they did go back, listen, as long as it's written well, you can do almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you can figure out a way to make it to make sense and get people to buy in. So I don't know if that's happening, but I do like the title, The Rise of Skywalker. That is, again, J.J. Abrams, a lot of mystery and intrigue, and this title definitely has it. Because who are we talking about?
Yeah,
The Rise of Skywalker.
it's you talk about. I think you're talking about Rey.
Are we talking about Rey? Are we talking about? I'll say this right now. I do not want Kylo to be redeemed in any way, shape, or form. I want Kylo to die, and it's not because I dislike the character. I like Kylo Ren, but I think he kills his father. He goes towards the dark side. He has a chance to go with Rey. Rey tries to pull him towards the light, and he says, "No, come with me, and we can basically shape the galaxy." So right there, to me, he's cemented in stone what he wants to do. I do not want to see him redeemed the way that Anakin was in Return of the Jedi by Luke. To me, I don't want to see that repetitive theme happen.
Oh my God!
That would be
such an ultimate copycat thing too.
And I really hope they don't do that. I want to see Kylo go out as the villain.
Yeah.
I really do.
And I think I mean, are they gonna finally give the origin of Rey? Is she really?
Is Rey even her real name?
Is she really the children of no one, or is she somehow related to the Skywalker line?
I would be okay with this if Rey is not blood related to the Skywalkers at all. If she took on the mantle of Skywalker and became Rey Skywalker in honor of Luke to teach the next age of Jedi, I could see that. The only other crazy theory that's out there is in the Force Awakens, one of the original opening scenes that was written was supposed to be Luke's hand and lightsaber from The Empire Strikes Back when it got cut off.
Oh, okay.
That somehow was supposed to make its way into space. The opening scene after the crawl was supposed to pan down in space, and you see the hand and lightsaber floating through space. Now, obviously, the last time we saw that, it's somewhere in the bottom of Cloud City up in Bespin.
Yeah, I think it would have fell. I don't think it would have, went into orbit or went into
No, it wouldn't
from
have.
that
Somebody
drop.
would have had to have taken it, and somehow it got lost in space. If that's the case, but this is crazy enough.
I'm actually glad they didn't do that.
No, I am too. However, the fact that they were talking about cloning in Episode 7, there is a theory out there that Rey is a female cloned version of Luke from his hand.
Oh.
And that the Emperor was running all these experiments while he was still alive, before he was killed, and wanted that hand to possibly make a clone for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So could we see that happen and Rey actually is a female version of Luke Skywalker? I don't know how I feel about a clone story. It just feels like it's like cheapened in some way, shape, or form. That's why I'm okay with Rey not having a blood lineage and just adopting the name of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know who her parents are. But she's going to do that in honor of him. I wouldn't mind that.
But then, it begs the whole thing, whereas, why was the lightsaber calling to her?
Well, that's another reason, because of the whole, if she is a clone,
If she is a clone, that
then
would explain
it would make
because
sense.
If she really is just,
the clone theory,
why would that happen?
The clone fan theory definitely checks off a lot of boxes as to why Rey's been able to do some of the things that she can, if she's got Skywalker blood in her. But I still don't know how I feel about that if that was the case, if they ended up making her a clone.
Right. Interesting.
And there was a storyline in the Legends universe back in the 90s called Dark Empire 2, where the Emperor does clone himself. He's cloned himself multiple times. And they even cloned Luke Skywalker from this back in Heir to the Empire, the book by Timothy Zahn.
That was a Star Wars comic from the 90s.
There was a comic, but I think it was, I don't know if that was based off the
probably
book.
might have been.
I think it was based off.
I'm
the
sitting
book.
there going like, I'm pretty
Empire
sure
2.
I have a Star Wars Dark Empire #1
Yeah.
comic book sitting in my collection somewhere.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of talk about this in the past already. So I'm wondering if they are going to reach back and kind of pull from those legend books for any information going forward into this last film. No idea yet on runtime for something like this. My hope is that this movie is at least 2.5 hours. I mean, the
I
final
would
film in
expect
this.
it to be easily over close to 2. I don't know if they'd go over 2.5.
I think 2.5 is should be a good amount of time to get everything in. But you never know.
I'm already reeling from the fact that the last of the Avengers movie is supposed to be
3 hours.
like over 3 hours.
I think it's like 3 hours and like 2 minutes or 3
Yeah,
hours.
it's still
and
like
something
3
that.
hours. It's like wow. I'm like okay, that's still gonna make a load of money.
Yeah, I mean, but this has got me excited. This trailer right away, I told John, like, got me right back into it. For as much as I felt disappointed with The Last Jedi, I watched this trailer. I've seen it a dozen times already, and every time I watch it, it gets me more and more excited. Just how JJ shoots this, you could see this is most likely going to be almost a continuation from The Force Awakens. I don't know how much of The Last Jedi stuff he's going to keep in this film.
Yeah.
He can't ignore it because it is part of canon, and it's things happened in 8 that probably have to get answered for 9, and you have to kind of roll that out and kind of see how that all goes. But I'll be interested to see how JJ navigates around parts of Episode 8 for his film. Because essentially you've got J.J. Abrams bookending this whole trilogy by doing 7 and 9 and then not doing 8.
Okay.
So are we going to wonder at the end of this, if J.J. would have done the entire trilogy, what would he have done with it?
Yeah.
What would he have done for 8? And I think that's one unfortunate aspect that will probably never get answered, because I don't think JJ is going to disrespect Rian Johnson like that. Although I think he will try to retcon some things that happened in 8 as smoothly as he possibly can.
Well, I think there's going to be obviously there's going to be more trailers, whether they're like second or third teaser trailers or full trailers. I'm sure they're really coming. I'm anticipating at least 4 more types of trailers after this one.
I don't know. I think we're gonna maybe get one more teaser before we get a full, but I think the full one's not gonna be till like September. I think we get maybe one more teaser in August. Disney has what is it, D23? Disney has like their own Comic-Con like right after San Diego Comic-Con. So San Diego's in July, and then I think the Disney one's in like early August, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next trailer is debuted there.
Oh, did I? I don't know if I asked this already. Did Star Wars Land open up in
California?
California. Oh,
It's going to open up.
Orlando.
I think it opens up in May in California, and it's opening up in September, I think, down in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
So next time we go,
because when we were in Disney last, we saw like
it was being built.
the signs for it. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
So that's actually kind of
Actually, at Star Wars Celebration today, they played a lot of the video from the place because it's almost finished.
So I am looking forward to seeing some of these previews on the big screen.
I'm hoping this is with Avengers.
Oh,
I would think this should be with Avengers.
Yeah, I would think so.
Now that they put this out there.
Sure. And if you're a big fan of if you're a big fan of like Star Wars trailers, I would say definitely. I think my personal favorite trailer, to this day, I still think is the Phantom Menace trailer.
Yeah, you love that
which
trailer.
Is unbelievable. It's just fantastic. But if you go online and find trailers to the original Star Wars movie,
they're great.
They're actually great, and there are a couple of different ones, and some of them are a little Some of them were a little hokey, but some of them were a little really.
Well, let's
coming
say
on
that.
point.
I mean, they are very dated. Let's say that.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, these trailers came out obviously before the movie came out,
Right.
and I can tell you right now, Star Wars changed Hollywood forever. So it's it harkens to an earlier and more innocent age.
Yep.
I mean, these trailers came out in either late '76 or early '77. I'm thinking. And that was a completely different movie going time. It really was. It's a completely different climate and landscape than it is today. 40 years later, it really is. But they're fun and nostalgic without a doubt.
So if you haven't got a chance to watch the trailer, we're going to put this up with us so you can actually watch. But you should definitely watch it on your own and start coming up with your own fan theories because everybody else is already starting to. So,
And before we sign off, I just want to just share a little tidbit of information that I just learned this weekend for the first time. Our last review we did was on the new Shazam movie, and the character of Shazam has actually had 3 different official names in comic book history. Most currently is Shazam. Prior to that was Captain Marvel. And for a very small, brief period before it was officially Captain Marvel in 1940, he was known as Captain Thunder. Go figure. So I'm curious to see if that's going back to watch that film again with Frieza, to see if anywhere in the film they make a mention of Captain Thunder, because that was Captain Marvel's name before he was Captain Marvel. That is a very, very rare known thing.
So I think with that, we're going to sign off. Guys, hope
Yep.
you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment to this video. We hope you guys enjoy. Enjoy the rest
And
of your
we
night.
will see you next time.
See you next time with the movies. Take care.